Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus, and I'm here again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. You know, in my pursuit of trying to make a difference for you, I have often said that America should change its system. Its system must be changed if you want peace and prosperity and happiness in your life. If you are deserving of peace, prosperity, and happiness in your life. You've heard it said, for those of you who refer to scriptures, that no man can serve two masters, for he'll either love one and hate the other, he'll despise one or hold on to the other. Now, when I'm speaking about system change and what this scripture means in relationship to this country, it's basically this. You have called America a great nation, and you have said it is founded upon a constitution that is so fantastic that no other constitution is better than American Constitution. Well, I think you should take a look at that. Let's look at the founding fathers, the one that you hold in higher esteem than you hold on God. I'm telling you the truth. You hold a higher esteem for the founding fathers than you do God. But let's look at these founding fathers. Let's look at some people who came from another country to a world that was already here, already established for those that were here. They came here and found that there were people here. And in efforts to pursue what their secret agenda was, they pretended to be friends to these natives. And they ended up, in the end, taking the natives' land and wiping them almost off the face of this particular land. Now, that doesn't sound like a friend. That doesn't sound like anything that's right. But for those who benefited from it, they said it was right. It was okay. Now they're going to set up this system here, my friends. Listen to me. They're going to set up a system of operation right here. And they're going to call it a great system. They're going to even set up this constitution that said it's protecting all of the people. Now let's look at this. How do they treat the people? First of all, they put a muzzle on the woman. That means she had no voice. If you were a black or Chinese or some other, they had chains on you. You were a slave. And if you were poor, you had the opportunity. If you were a poor white, you had the opportunity to work for the white man who had money. Now, who had the voice? The voice was the one who had the money, the aristocracy, the aristocrat, the one who had the money, having taken the land from the natives, put a muzzle on the woman, made all the other people into slaves. But because you were white, they allowed you to work for money. You were a serf now. You could buy the things that they were selling to you for your survival. The others were slaves. They worked for nothing. Only reason they were able to eat is because they were fed to keep them so they can serve them in slavery. This is what they did. And you call this a wonderful nation by God? And even when they tried to say that they freed the slaves, they freed them from ownership by the white man and made them slaves to the corporation of this country. And you say that this is the great thing. It is not a great thing, ladies and gentlemen. Man has said, this is what we want. And all of the people have come up in this world, in this country, with that understanding. And they think it's a righteous understanding. They think it's a God-divine understanding. That is God-sent. They don't see all of the evil in it because they have been brought up in a situation where they were taught to conform. And in this conformity, they accepted it as being righteous. But like in the old days, when Christ or whoever you want to call, whatever part of the world you come from, because what I'm saying about this country happened in all the other countries that have been established. So when it came here, the message was what? That this is slavery. This is mammon. This is not God. Why? Because God created all of this stuff. He didn't create it for the man with the money. He didn't create it for the aristocrat or the aristocracy. He created it for man, regardless of his color, female, regardless of his color. Anybody who lived on this country as a human being have the object to serve in this world, to create, to participate in the creation of all of those things that are essential so that they can live the godly way of life. But to follow the way that the world has been set up, to follow the way that America has been set up, meaning that you following the devil. Some people want to say following Mammon, which has been referred to as the devil of covetousness. But you're following the devil. And this is why they say in order to serve God, you must be born again. You must be born again. And what does that basically mean? You must be born again. It means that all of the stuff that you've been taught to believe that is proper, that you have accepted as a way of life that allows people to, some not have a voice, some killed and murdered and for the taking of what they already own, to treat others as slaves, to lie, cheat, and steal. All of these things happen. This is the devil's world. This is the devil's system. And in order to be a servant of God, because you can't partake in this and call you a servant of God. And so in order for you to be a servant of God, you must be born again. What does that basically mean? That means that this stuff, again, that you have accepted as being righteous, you're going to have to accept something that you haven't been taught. They call it spiritual. And enlightenment. You're going to have to accept that, where all of the beautiness, the peace, and the prosperity, and the happiness, where it resonates from. For not just some, but for everyone, you're going to have to accept that as a way of life. And if you accept that as a way of life, and you got to be born again to accept it, because you're going to go through all kinds of stuff when you start changing from the system here. You got to be born again, meaning that you accept it. And not by accepting it, it means that you stop conforming to all of that you've been taught, but you start standing up as a representation of the new idea, the new way of life that you have been introduced to in the middle of all this hell. That's what you start doing. That's what being born again means. Being born again doesn't mean getting dumped in some water, walking out of that water, going straight back to your old job. Now, how do you translate that? In this country and anywhere in the world, you need food, clothing, shelter. Now, it's been set up on the system of the devil. So when you're born again, you still need these things. But the way to acquire them, the way to attain them, is that you institute a new practice. And you're trying to introduce them in a practice where they don't want to accept it. But by the power of truth, you stand anyway. Now, I understand that in this big old world of devilishness, one man standing up for what's right has its impact. But ultimately, that one man is going to be killed. 50 of them are going to be killed. 100 of them will be killed. But for everyone that is killed, an enlightenment is made to those who are in darkness. They recognize how wonderful it is. They might not want to do it, but because you are giving it up so easy, they're saying, wait a minute, what's going on? So maybe 1,000 is killed. Maybe 1,000,000 is killed. But that's what you have to go through to make sure that you can eat, that you can have a house, that those things that are needed for survival, you're striving for it. And by virtue of doing these things, this is what makes people change. This is what opens up the eyes of the blind. So when you are not doing that, when you getting up talking about you born again, and thank God for your job that you got in a system that's messing over everybody. A job that you saying God gave you, now you can pay your bills. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not being born again. That's lying to yourself. Now I know all of you that hear me right now who got a good job making 100,000, or those of you who making minimum wage. To you, I sound like a stark naked fool. I don't care if I do. I'm telling you the truth. And I'm telling you, if there's ever going to be any peace, if there's ever going to be prosperity, and this for all, it's going to happen God's way and not the way you're going. The way you're going is going to lead you to hell. Just like the Jews, that they say, what, 6 million of them were killed? Just like in China, where 40 million of those were killed. Same thing in Russia. Same thing in Italy. And same thing in Africa. All these people dying because somebody trying to control them, trying to manipulate them. And eventually it's going to start happening to you because this is the path you're on. And at that time, you will be beginning to wonder if being born again means something different. You will begin to wonder and hope that you could be born again and you become a tool whereby changes can be made. I'm trying to tell you something. Now, I'm not expecting you to jump on this bandwagon. I'm not expecting you to believe it, because if you knew better, you do better. But you don't know better. And what I'm telling you, some people might have told you, but you don't get this in church. Those people want you to go out and get a good job. Pay $1,000 seed so God can open up a one and bless you more, so you can bring more money to the church. All of these churches are serving Satan. Many of them know it. Many of them don't. But they all are. And the membership of the church, mostly none of them know it. They just think they're serving God. You've been warned. Bye-bye.